What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Therapist Logan Reacts. Today we are doing another song by Ren. Shout out to Renegades for all you guys in my comments and giving my like and supporting my channel. You guys are heroes and you guys are putting me on a really good artist, and I've been enjoying this exploration through his music very much so. I've been learning a lot. I've been just really encapsulated by a lot of the stuff that he has to say, and I think he does bring a lot of good attention to mental health and just what he's been through just from a personal level. So today we are doing For Joe, the live performance. I've noticed you guys like the live performances better. You guys have shared you like the live performances, so that's what we're gonna do. And yes, I believe this is for someone who he's lost, someone who passed away. I don't recall anyone providing any information if this was from a suicide or if this was just from him passing away and just what it did to him. So I don't have the full context on it. But again, I'm going to see what I get from the video. And then you guys can leave in the comments down below if there's more information, because I know you guys have a way more in-depth history with Ren. So feel free to leave a comment down below. Piano. That's a switch up.
It's hard to take off from the ground when your wings are cut. Your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup. You know the entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. I guess there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness, hatchet job. I locked my youth inside the trunk, inside the pickup truck, then dumped that whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped. I think about that sometimes, vividly.
He had a really good line. I mean, all of his lines were phenomenally, beautifully written, just artistically, just phenomenal. But there was one that stuck out to me. It says, "I locked my childhood in a trunk of a pickup truck, and then I dumped it in rewind that. What was it?
Hatchet job. I locked my youth inside the trunk, inside the pickup truck, then dumped that whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped."
Yeah, that line specifically it stuck out to me because it sounds like at this point, the night you jumped. So this does sound like it was for somebody who did die by suicide or take their life by suicide. And it sounds like I locked my childhood away and got rid of it. And I've noticed this, and this is something that I have personal experience with as well, of when something like that happens, it's this sense of reality and darkness that the world kind of has to offer does kind of come and makes you grow up kind of quicker than you really wanted to or anticipated to. And I think I like the way he described it. I got rid of my childhood, and I got rid of it in a very dark way. It's just almost very similar to how this interaction, this experience for him, how that kind of played out. And I really feel for that. This one hits me on a deeper level, a personal level. And because I've had someone who's very dear to me take their life by suicide. And I was at a younger age, and it really did make me lose part of my youth because of it. So that's why I think that stuck out to me a little bit more. But I think that's definitely a phenomenon that happens a lot when it's something this severe and significant.
I think about that sometimes, vividly. What it felt like to look down and see tranquility. One sudden movement in a world of possibility. Only one movement to expose our fragility.
And again, he continues on just as just how much beautiful and how this childlike wonder we may have had kind of progressing on, and then all it took was that little bit of fragility, that sense that everything could be kind of broken in that moment, and like recognizing that like it's dark and it can be rough growing up, and we see some of those things, and it's all the more reason to find those things that produce that childlike wonder and things that we can hold on to aspects of our youth, and how important it is to, again, really try to maintain any aspect of that we can, because that is where a lot of our happiness lays. And if we're so focused on being an adult, and I think we lose that sense of ourself that had that awe, that wonder, and just that happiness and core positivity that we had when we were younger. So I like how he, again, explained that.
I miss you, and I miss myself. I miss thinking we were indestructible as hell. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Justin, Sega, Stevie, and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call them up. Distance is my plaster cast, to tell the truth. The day you jumped, my childhood jumped too. But I still can't find the anger. All I find is missing you, man. I miss you. With all my rhymes, I picture running 5 minutes quicker, I'm right on time. I picture pulling you back over the edge and then we're crying, and holding you, my brother, and telling you that it's fine, not the way that it worked. I was late like a jerk. There's not a day where I can find a way to break from the hurt. Your body missing, so we never got to wave to the hearse. I hope you're listening. I love you, man. I miss you, absurd. Fuck.
So much grief in this last part, this part that just came up. He's apologizing. He's taking on such a responsibility that part of it was him. He was a jerk. He wasn't there, and he wasn't able to wave to the hearse like we weren't able to find it, and just so much regret, it sounds like. And that is such a key component when it comes to grief and loss. And this is one of my, I don't say specialties, but I do have training in it. This is something I really am very passionate about when it comes to my therapeutic services and my therapeutic style, and just things I'm interested in practicing. Grief and loss is one of my most important, one of my key factors that I believe I'm very good at, and I'm still learning. Obviously, I have way more to go, but it's so important because not only did it hit grief and loss for him, it also pushed his childhood aside. And he said they thought they were indestructible, or used a word similar to it, and it seems like it had him move to an existential frame of mind, recognizing that they aren't indestructible. They can die. They were reminded of their own mortality when something this severe and significant happened, and that is something that, again, aligns very much with grief and loss. And when those typically occur, how they kind of intertwine and how they influence one another. And we have this existential therapy is, again, I'm very much versed in that, and I'm very passionate about that frame of therapy as well, just because of just the bigger questions that aligns with. And it seems like this made him go through existential, maybe crisis, or just existential questions that had him questioning about his own mortality. Lost would do that. Piano is my favorite instrument as well. I very much like this song.
Another domino, it falls. Across the way another's born. How you're supposed to raise a child and give it courage from a storm. In a world that is confusing, contradictions pave our flaws. Some will say we're only human, others judge us for our flaws. Some get born in sheets of satin, some get by in tattered clothes. Some will die before they live, that's just how the story goes. But for those of us still with us, who reside inside our hearts, tell them proudly how you feel. And for those of us who aren't, Freckled angels stand strong. Freckled angels live on. Freckled angels climb higher. Freckled angels still inspire. Freckled angels won't forget you. Teach me to live my life better. 13 years and still I miss you. Now my wings are missing feather. Otherwise I'd come and join you. But for now I'm here on earth, stuck inside this mortal body. But for everything it's worth, made me braver, made me wiser, made me stronger, made me true, made me face the world with courage. And that's all because of you.
One of my favorite perspectives he just showed is this idea of going through something extremely difficult, something traumatic, and turning it into such a beautiful frame of mind and reframing it into such a way where it's taking such a negative, ugly, sad experience and turning it into such a beautiful, creating, growth, producing moment of I'm here for a reason. It's my reason. It doesn't have to be for a reason, anything. It's just, yes, I could have followed you kind of in tow, like what he's saying, but I'm here and I want to do as much good as I can. I know people are still feeling this way, and I don't want to leave without trying to reach at least one other person. That's very much aligned with why I got into therapy. I've said before, again, like, I want to be that person that hears your story. I don't want people to feel alone. I know what it's like to feel that way. I know what it's like to feel depressed and have some of those other really strong emotions, and feeling alone is such a deep one that I've lived through, as well as I never want anyone to feel that way. So it's very similar how he's done it in his own way, his own creative way. And again, just making music and providing that for others is because he knows what it's like to experience something this significant, this hard. And I think he's talking freckled angels as being the ones to add more positivity to the world because there's so much negativity in it already. And I think that's a beautiful sentiment to this individual, and taking this person's memory and turning it and reframing a negative interaction or experience into such a positive, beautiful moment, and using that as kind of motivation.
Freckled angels laugh the hardest, and their hearts, they are the largest. With their wings, they fly the farthest. So I know you're gonna be okay. Freckled angels live the longest, and their minds, they are the strongest. Oh, their friends, they are the fondest. So I know you're gonna be okay.
Beautiful. This one was meaningful to me on a really personal level. I think just the idea of it, and just like the sentiment for this individual that he seems to be so close to, and just seeing the emotion kind of at the end, I can see that it hits deep and heavy for him. And when it comes to grief and loss, there is no timeline. There is no therapy that's going to be the exact same for everybody. Everyone's healings across the board is different. Everyone's timeline is different. Everyone's story is different, and just reflecting that. And if you are seeking therapy, recognizing that you don't need to be over grief in 6 months or 3 months or 2 years or 5 years. You're learning to live with that grief and not let it consume you. You can grieve in 10 years. But therapy is for you, so when you're in that situation, when you walk past somebody in the grocery market and you smell someone's cologne that reminds you of them, and it's them to a T, and you have to do a double take and it's not them. The therapy is supposed to set you up with skills and coping skills and things to help you maintain that level of cognitive control, emotional control, and just be okay with reminding yourself that being able to hold on to those memories is so meaningful. And that's why grief and loss is so important, because it's so important to have been able to love someone. The only reason you can feel so bad and sad is because you felt so positive with this individual before, and that's such a beautiful, it's like a beautiful suffering. I've spoken about that before, but I think it's a beautiful suffering. In order to feel that negative and feel that sad is just because the only reason I feel this bad is because I had this to compare it to. I have this high, this beautiful moment that I was able to be with that individual, and I have that to compare it to this, and they're so far apart. That's why I feel so strongly about it. Beautiful song, beautiful sentiment. Ren does it again. Not surprised. Let me know in the comments down below if you have a personal connection with this song. This has definitely been something you guys have been asking for. I see why. But let me know in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe for more content coming soon. And yeah, thanks for watching as always.